Hey guys, Mike T here.
Jordan.
Who's there? Welcome to the first comic book review for... What week is it? May...
This was the week of May 7th, I want to say.
It's the 12th right now, so 2 days, the 14th. Yeah, week of May 7th, reviewing the books that came out this week that we got. I'm going to start off the festivities going with Amazing Spider-Man 1.1. I don't know if the glare's in the way or not. Probably is. Whatever. It was a pretty good book. It's basically just the origins again of Peter Parker. It's talking about how he's coping with Uncle Ben's death, how he's having money problems, and he's using the fame of Spider-Man as a way to earn money. All right.
Not bad. Great neighborhood.
So basically he becomes Spider-Man, but he's not the Spider-Man we all know to be the hero. He's just using it to get money and get by, to pay for Uncle Ben's funeral, help Aunt May around the house and everything like that. And basically he's saying how he's getting famous, and he seems to love his job, but it's interfering with his school because he's skipping classes to practice for the Spider-Man show so that way he can have money. And the principal calls Aunt May, who finds out that he's been skipping classes, and the one show that he's supposed to be practicing for is going on at the same time as school. Aunt May walks him to school to make sure he goes. Then he has to talk to a counselor about his grief of Uncle Ben dying, even though he realizes, oh crap, I'm going to be late to my practice. And while he's there, his, what would you call him? His agent, basically, his manager, decides that in this new show, they're gonna fire live saw blades at Spider-Man. Because, you know, every good show needs saw blades fired at someone. That's what I would pay to see. And, so then Spider-Man makes it just in the nick of time to do the show. He doesn't know anything about the saw blades. The saw blades get launched at him, and he freaks out. The spider sense kicks in, and he dodges it. But then it knocks out the entire stage. Things keep falling. The people are in danger. Then he saves everybody, and the manager plays it off like, oh, it's part of the show. And then the owner of the theater that they were in kicks them out, says he's never working there again because he was upset with the stunts that they did and how it was destroyed. And so now he's basically out of a job. And then at the end of the book, you see one of his biggest fan basically turning into, I don't know if he's a villain or a hero, but he makes his own suit and he wants to be like Spider-Man. And so there's that. I don't know about you, but the costume's pretty interesting. I don't know if he's, just from looking at it, do you think he's a hero or a villain?
It looked like a villain to me.
Same here, but he looks like a villain, but the way he describes it, he wants to be a hero, so that'll be pretty interesting to figure out. Overall, it's a pretty good book. If you're really into Spider-Man, you should get it. I'm just getting into the Spider-Man comics. I've seen all the movies. This I'd probably give like a 3.5, 4. Mostly because it was just kind of boring for me. It was an okay story. The art didn't bother me, but it was just, there wasn't that much action in it. The only action was when he saved the people from the set falling on him. So it was okay. And
What'd you give it out of 5?
I gave it like a 3.5, 3, 4, somewhere around there. And now Jordan has a comic book that he got that I did not, that he wants to review. Jordan, go ahead.
Okay. I have Iron Fist #2. Got a nice cover. It's interesting. There's no dragon in it, though, so...
Kind of misleading.
It starts out where the first one left off, and basically a girl came into the room where Iron Fist happened to be, and said that he needs to go back to Kunlun, I guess. I don't know how you pronounce it. And he ends up running off, and it skips over to a scene in Kunlun where what was his name?
There was a dragon.
Was he?
Yeah, it's right there.
Yeah, but he doesn't do anything. He sure as hell doesn't have Iron Fist standing in it. His name is UT, and he's talking about a... Shit, what was he talking about? Talking about a ceremony that's going to be passing in Kunlun, and then there's a page where a bunch of helicopters are coming in, and he ends up, they talk about how there's guardians. He's here under circumstance, and he's not here to fight, but if they force his hand, then he will. So the guards all come out, and they're, protect Xiao Lao and protect the UT. And UT ends up jumping in front of all of them and saying he doesn't need protection. And they get into a little fight, and he calls him old friend. And then that is the end of that scene. So Iron Fist ends up finding out that the way back to Kunlun, I don't even know if that's how you say it.
Where is it?
It's...
So it was in Avengers vs. X-Men.
Kunlun?
Where is it?
Up here in the corner?
Kunlun.
I don't speak that language. But he finds out that it's in an elevator shaft the whole time, and he says that they lied to him because they said the only way back was once every decade, and he wouldn't be able to return for at least, I don't know, he said 6 or 7 years or something, because it's a 10-year cycle and it isn't due for some time. So it ends up going back to a flashback page, which again talks about Iron Fist growing up, and he was on the adventure with his mom and dad looking for the ancient city, and the mom finds out that whoever they were with, I don't think it says they call him Danny. No, that's Iron Fist's name. They call him Harold, and she finds out that he let go of the rope that Danny's father was hanging on to. So, they get into their little altercation, and she tells Danny, make him pay. And promise me you'll make him pay. So, they run off and end up getting attacked by a pack of wolves. And she tells Danny to run off and don't look back. But he does look back, he says, and he saw that he had to say goodbye to his mother in 1,000 pieces. So you can assume that she got the shit eaten out of her.
That's one way to put it.
Yeah. And then he ends up running over a bridge that gets cut by an arrow. And these people find him and they take him to, one would imagine, would be Kunlun. And then it pretty much ends with him arriving there.
There is a matter that requires your attention.
There's a text message. He arrives there to his home, he says, and it's in total chaos. So, looking forward to the 3rd issue. I don't know too much about Iron Fist as it is, but it's interesting. The artwork's good. It's a little darker of a story than I've, previously seen Iron Fist in. But if I had to rate it, I would probably give it a 4 out of 5 for this issue. I'll definitely pick up the 3rd one.
How is the artwork compared to number 1?
It was a little, they're not too much difference because it's kind of focused on the same thing, but it's dark. The artwork is dark.
Was it dark in 1 too?
Yeah, it was. I would say it was darker in 1.
Well, I don't know. Me personally, I kind of like dark stories.
Yeah,
or darker tone.
I'm interested to see where it goes.
All right, and as a lot of you know, most of you know, this past week in comic book stores, you were supposed to get a free comic called The Amazing Spider-Man, Who Am I? This is mine. Since Jordan has a very strong opinion on it, and he can basically describe what he thinks in one word.
Garbage. If I had to pay for that book, I would be extremely upset.
So out of 10, what are we doing, 5? Out of 5, what are you doing?
A 1.
For a free comic book, it isn't bad.
Yeah,
I agree that if I had to pay for it, it'd probably be a lot lower on my scale.
What do you give it?
Well, let me talk about it first.
There's nothing to talk about. Garbage.
So basically, the story starts off with Spider-Man not really knowing who he is. I don't know if he has amnesia or if he's... Something happens where he's, like, standing there. He's like, who am I? Who am I? And he doesn't know who he is, obviously. He doesn't know what he's wearing. He doesn't know how he got there. And then all of a sudden, he gets shot. He gets shot at. And he figures out he's in the middle of a bank robbery. He's like, oh, I must be here to stop these guys. Then the thieves turn around and say, hey, Spidey, help us out. And he's like, what? Okay. And he basically helps the thieves escape. And they take a hostage. And they do this escape because the cops basically have the building surrounded. Spider-Man doesn't know what's going on, who he is, or who he's supposed to help, so he kind of messes up and gets them into a worse situation. But eventually they escape. The cops don't shoot at them because they take a hostage, which is right here. And then they get to safety, and the thugs are like, what are we supposed to do with her? So Spider-Man just pushes her off. Puts her off the building. Just because. Because, you know, that's what Spider-Man does.
Book sucked.
I give it, like, I'm going to be generous.
Wasn't there a second story in it?
Was
Am I
it?
crazy? I thought there was.
No. That was the end of it.
Oh.
You might be thinking about Amazing Spider-Man #1.
Yeah, probably.
For it being a free book, it's going to get higher. So it's probably going to be like a 2.5.
Oh. 2.5.
For it being free, it's not that bad. It's okay. I'm being generous.
Very generous.
Alright, next up for me, Deadpool vs. Carnage, issue number 3. So far, it's been a pretty good story. There's only two more parts left. This story begins where the last one ended, where he's just... I don't know if it's still recording that. They're still fighting on the highway. Cars are blowing up everywhere. And Deadpool is obviously making his jokes about everything. And they start fighting. He stabs Carnage. Carnage survives. Carnage stabs him in the chest, in the stomach. Deadpool survives. Deadpool gets basically torn into pieces. Deadpool survives. Gets hit by a truck. Gets hit by a truck. Deadpool survives. So, while he got hit by the truck, Carnage escapes, and then everyone in the crowd is talking, and then they do another panel of the same conversation, but Deadpool puts all the pieces together to figure out the hidden messages. People are saying, like, the hell, some sort of supervillain fight, blah, blah, blah. But then he reads all the messages and says, the fight is not over. Find him, stop him. So he realizes he has to find Carnage again. And he's talking to this random pedestrian, and Deadpool's like, where'd he go? Where's Carnage? And then he says Mercury for no reason. Let's tap the keg of collective insanity and figure Mercury. So, what we find out is Carnage has basically kidnapped a family. He's holding them hostage. The dad's driving. The family's on vacation. He's trying to figure out how Deadpool keeps finding him. While his girlfriend, I can't remember what her name is, Shriek, something like that. Yeah, Shriek. I almost called her Shrek. Even though
Shrek is love. Shrek is life.
While she's clearly bleeding from the head, with a hole in the head, the son in the back says, I think she might be dead. And then he starts freaking out. He's like, no, she's alive, blah, 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 basically in denial. He threatens to kill the whole family, but he's trying to figure out why Deadpool keeps catching him, because apparently it's predictable. And so he says, "Where are you guys going?" They were going on a family vacation. They were just going to hit all the little spots, like, what is it, tourist attractions, like biggest ball of yarn, biggest ceramic cat, biggest pencil. So stuff like that. So he just goes with them, and they just go to that spot, but then Deadpool ends up finding him through random clues. Deadpool's on a motorcycle, finds a dead coyote, and then has a taco, and finds some hillbillies.
I love Deadpool.
And then he somehow comes across where Carnage and them are. Don't ask me how a dead coyote, a taco, and hillbillies equal a high guarded military base, but that's where it leads. Which we find out later, the military base isn't just any military base. It is a military base that specializes in symbiote. Symbiote weapons. So basically, weapons made from the essence of Carnage and Venom. And Carnage broke in there to help him kill Deadpool. And
to help who kill Deadpool?
Huh?
To help who kill Deadpool?
He gets... Apparently Shriek is alive because she's walking around. I don't know how she is. And basically Deadpool and Carnage are finishing each other's sentences, even though it shows Carnage being here like a couple hours before. And then Deadpool walks in. He's like, "Oh, look, another sign." Carnage is right behind him, cuts his head off, tears him limb from limb, and leaves him to die, even though he can regenerate, so I don't get to see what the point is. And then the spider-looking dog thing, which is right there, I don't know what that is, comes up and basically starts to heal Deadpool. And then Deadpool turns into this. And now he's ready to kill Carnage. So he has a dog thing now. And now he has 4 different symbiote suits attached to him.
4 different ones?
Yeah, there's black, green, yellow, purple, 4 symbiotes, is what he says. So now he has an upgrade and he's ready to fight Carnage. So issue number 4 comes out, I think, next month.
It's the 2-week book, isn't it? Every 2 weeks?
Is it?
Pretty sure.
I don't really keep track. There's so many books to keep track of. Issue number 4 is coming out pretty soon, though, so that'll be interesting to see how that works out. And then issue 5 after that. So I'd give this 4 out of 5.
Not bad.
I don't like to give perfect ratings.
No.
It's hard to have a perfect comic. And Jordan's second book?
I have Magneto number 3. And this book is actually, it's exactly what you would want a Magneto book to be. It starts out in the town where he ended up going, or trailer park I think it was, or some kind of campsite, where he went in book 2. The police are there looking for Magneto. And Magneto left and he went to some factory where he found out that the Sentinels are, or where they're making Sentinels out of people. Hybrid Sentinels. So he's looking for the secrets of the place. He uses his, magnetism, would that be the word? No, to find where in the place it's at. So he gets down to the basement and he finds the doctor or scientist that is working on it. And he gives her the rundown, you've taken so many lives. And of course the Sentinels find him and, mutant identified, and it's Magneto. He handles them pretty quickly. Yeah, there's not much, he takes them out. And this is actually a pretty bloody book. We got some heads hanging there.
Oof.
Yeah, it's a good book. Then he tells the doctor that he can kill her using this. A paperclip. So he shoves that paperclip with his powers into her arm, and he walks her into the office, and you can see there, that's where the paperclip is. He walks her into the office, and on the way, more Sentinels stop him, and he has her shut them down by making the paperclip go from her hand
Those
up to her
Sentinels?
forearm. Yeah, they're the hybrid ones. And they get to the room, and she basically says that. Well, first he starts talking about Genosha, where he had the dream where mutants would be able to live in harmony, and the Sentinels came and killed. He says 16 million mutants in one fight, I guess. And he's talking about how they just want to be left alone. She tells him that the Sentinels aren't to attack the mutants. It's to, it's out of fear. They just want to live apart. And she says, we'll be protected because we're segregated. And he says, no, that they need to coexist. But obviously Magneto doesn't really want them to coexist. He wants the mutant race to, surpass them. So she says, we created the Guardians to defend us if the mutants tried to run what we had built. And he sells her... Let's skip the page. She says, a place where we can live in peace. And he says... Well, she says, I won't do this. I'm talking about shutting it down. And she says, we've made mistakes, and I recognize that, but you can't force us to demolish us. So he shoves the paperclip all the way up her face.
In her face?
All the way up her face. All the way up. And then he overrides it himself. And he leaves. And they show, there's a video. Or not a video. My bad.
Ooh, these new interactive comics.
There is a page that just shows the Sentinels being exploded and the building coming down. And he says that, he's finished the first part of his mission, and he's not done, and he won't be done until he's found who did it. And he says, and what he would have done had he been the old Magneto was just kill them all. But he says his anger, his indigestion might have gotten the better of him if he were like he used to be. And then he says,
indigestion.
That's indigenation. Did I say it?
You said indigestion.
Oh, my bad. Indigenation.
I was really confused. This is indigestion stopping him from killing everything.
He had the shits. No.
Got
He
some
had a
rumblies in the
bad little
tumblies.
stomach ache. But he said he should have done more to find, who was hand guiding these things
Yeah,
and
so
who was
that's Taco Bell
creating.
breakfast.
What he said up. Yeah, that new waffle taco really goes. But he says he'll find the people just the same, and no threat of death nor promise of salvation will spare him. And that's the end for that. And it's a good book. It is a good book. I like the way they're going with it. It's a good story arc. If I had to give it a rating, I would probably give it a 4 out of 5. No, it was good. It was worth the read. I would pay for it.
Well, I mean, he did pay for it,
Well,
so.
if I were suggesting to you to pay for it, I would say
Is it worth $3.99 or whatever it was?
Oh, I mean, you can do worse for $3.99.
Was it $3.99 or was it?
Yeah, it's at $3.99. You can do worse. You could get a DC book.
You're just a hater, man. And speaking of DC, getting to the better books.
No, we got.
Well, I was going to do these two, and then we'll do.
Oh, okay.
I'll do this one
There is
first
a
because
matter
I thought I told you to put that on vibrate.
It's a flash flood warning.
Again.
Yep.
All right. The highly anticipated new weekly series, Future's End.
Highly anticipated.
This book was a disappointment. I did not like it at all.
You got Batman Beyond on the cover.
I know. Including that, he's on like 3 pages. Here's 1. There's 2. 3.
4.
And that's it.
4 pages.
4 pages. Want to know what the rest of this stuff is? Nothing that I care about. So, in the story, I didn't read issue 0. I'm getting it ordered for me with my local comic book store, and that should come in a couple weeks. So we come in, and it says 5 years from now, and Batman Beyond, Terry McGinnis, is in his past, our future, and he has the AI Alfred in his ear, and they apparently didn't go to the correct time because he ended up going back in time instead of Bruce because of whatever happened in the Shoes era, which I don't really know. And then Terry's basically trying to figure out why this happened, and Alfred's making jokes like the real Alfred usually does. And he even makes a joke. He's like, "Was the real Alfred like you?" Then Alfred says, "Real Alfred? Are you insinuating that I'm imaginary?" And Terry just goes, "No, just annoying."
Clever.
And then there's apparently a cyborg that came with him to the past, future, whatever you want to call it. And he thought it was dead, and he has to fight it again. Then he figures out he isn't in the right spot, and they basically, he asks, "We're 7 years too late to stop Mr. Terrific's creations of Brother Eye, which is responsible for the hell of a future we come from. Not to mention that the time band only had one jump, meaning we're stuck." And Alfred, being the sarcastic, cocky bastard that he is, says, "That is correct." And Terry basically, "How'd you let that happen?" The time band was calibrated to Master Bruce's mass. You don't measure up. Insult.
He's Batman Beyond is right there. You said it was on the first one page. Or is that the first page?
This is still the first page.
Oh.
I'm just going pretty slow. Because I want to cover the Batman Beyond thing, because I don't care about anything else. And so he fights the cyborg, blah blah blah. And then Terry basically asks, "Why didn't you warn me that she was still alive?" Alfred, being sarcastic, says, "Well, she's a cyborg. She's not alive. So why would I tell you that she's alive when she clearly isn't?" "She seems pretty alive to me." "That is an incorrect assumption. Life is defined by brain function." And now she's no longer functional. And Terry basically rips her head off and kills the cyborg. But then you find out that someone is watching him. There's this guy
The Watcher.
with Google glasses, apparently, just recording the video.
It's a nice cover.
What, this?
No, the cover.
Oh. We're talking about DC. We'll get to that in a second. And so that's basically it for Batman. Then it goes to a random mobile headquarters by Stormwatch. I don't know who Stormwatch is. And basically their ship gets taken over by an angry AI and kills everyone, or attempts to kill everyone on the ship. One person does die. His name was... Where'd he go? Where was he? Apollo. Apollo dies, apparently. I don't know who Apollo is, so I don't really care about him. He dies, everyone's all upset. Blah, blah, blah. Don't care. Stuff explodes. And now that... Then there's the AI saying Earth's early detection system, codenamed Stormwatch, is destroyed. And they're now preparing to attack the Earth directly. And no one knows who they are. Then you go to another story in Conover Cove in North Carolina. You just see normal everyday family, and you go into their house. The dad's getting shot in the head. The mom's freaking out. The daughter's freaking out. The mom gets shot in the back 3 times. You know, typical afternoon at the Smiths. And then the mom's getting shot again and again as the daughter's running. Blah blah blah. Everybody getting murdered up in here. And the daughter runs into her room. Then you see a guy who I thought was Red Hood at first, but then he has hair coming out of a mask, and I don't really know who that is. And he knocks in the door, and corners her, and he tells her to basically show herself, and it turns out she's an alien of some sort. Because the entire thing, he's saying how they're like us, that way social, they gravitate towards each other, and how they're hiding in plain sight, and they try to make him think like he's killing the wrong people. The 6 normals living among them didn't have a clue. Truth is, they're everywhere, hiding in plain sight. Remember the movie about pods from outer space possessing people? Imagine being in one. I can because I was. And then, so he basically knows how to find these aliens. And he is hunting them down and killing them. And the girl that he was about to kill is an alien, like I said. So it shows her eyes and her basically revealing that he knows what he's doing. You thought he was just murdering random people for no apparent reason, even though he kind of is. But then, is an alien. So that's that story. Shoots her, walks out, blah. New York City. There's a random guy running around looking for Raymond. I don't know who Raymond is. So he goes into this, like, boutique shop, or spa, or spot, I don't even know. And he's looking for this guy. He's getting it on with the woman. And she gets pissed, leaves. He gets pissed, and basically gets into a shouting match with his friend. And something apparently happened. And he turns into... What is his name? What is his name? I don't even know what his name is, because that's how much I didn't care about this story. They talk about Green Arrow apparently summoned them, needed help. Talking about a war, because they're in the Justice League. But apparently he's not really that important, because I don't care about him. Then, apparently there was an explosion in a war or whatever going on in this area. They get there, and they're rescuing people left and right. And then this guy comes over saying, you can't let him die, you have to help. And then they figure out who is under all this rubble. And it turns out Green Arrow was under the rubble, and he is now dead. And that is how the story ends. I'll give it like a 2.5.
2.5. I've been getting reviews.
I didn't like it. It was stupid. It had 3 different stories going on at the same time. Only the one that I cared about was 4 pages long. That was Batman. They have him on the cover, and that's literally the only thing he does is what he does on the cover, which is fight a cyborg. Then you just have, like, Rambo going into house monologuing the entire time. I kill because I know that they're not real people. They're trying to hide from me. And then you see the little girl crying, and you think he's about to murder an innocent girl. Stop trying to hide. Walking out. And he walks out of the building, and that's all you hear from him. It's issue 1, and I'm already pissed off. Now on to the good weekly series. Batman Eternal number 5. I love this series. Better than that garbage over there. So Batman Eternal number 5 picks up where 4 left off. Red Robin is examining... For those of you that didn't hear it, I said Red Robin referring to the character, and he is referring to the restaurant.
Sounds better than that comic.
I agree, it is better than this comic. If I didn't pay
$3.
Yeah, $3 for it, I would have ripped it. I would rip it in half by now. But I'm hoping this Wednesday issue number 2 will be better. hope to God issue number 2 is better.
Don't get your hopes up.
I'm interested to see what Mike and Chris have to say about it, because I know Mike was the one looking forward to that a lot. I know a lot of people were. Alfred comes in, and he's basically saying, "What are you looking at?" And Red Robin goes on to say, 7 children have remained hospitalized after Professor Pig's attack 3 nights ago, the night of the train crash. And Alfred, being Alfred, he's like, "I seem to recall." Because, that was a big event. Everyone knows about it. And he basically says Bruce isn't really a big fan of Tim setting up what's known as Robin's nests all over Gotham without Batman's permission. And we find out that the only reason Batman doesn't approve is because Tim refuses to network into the Bat computer because he doesn't like people looking over his shoulder while he works. Then he basically says Bruce is so focused on the gangs and the police that he hasn't had the chance to pore over the small details, the minute. If he had, he'd realize that there's something very strange going on with these children. They weren't infected by Pig like we were led to believe in issue 1. Their parents reported that they'd been showing strange flu symptoms days before they went to the museum. And he basically says it all points to the same location, the building they've all lived in, Wayne Restoration, in the heart of the Narrows, the Philip K. Memorial Projects. It's always the projects that is where the worst crime is, and all the orphans. How is that? Ignore that. Then we go to the Narrows, which we were just talking about, and a boyfriend and I think his girlfriend, or maybe their brother and sister, couldn't really catch on. I think her boyfriend, girlfriend. No, their brother and sister, never mind. So apparently he has the flu, hence the flu-like symptoms. She wants to go out to do something because obviously the streets are getting dangerous. He's worried about her, telling her not to go out and just be careful, blah blah blah. Typical brother-sister stuff. Then we go to the newspaper, where Vicky Vale is just really upset still. And a new guy shows up and he basically wants to do a story. And blah blah. Because the new guy wants to focus on all the Gordon stories that basically everyone wants to talk about, but she knows something's not right about the Gordon stories, and they need to focus on on what's true instead of what's popular. And this older guy comes in, and he is a crime editor, and he's basically saying they need to look outside the box, and they need to go to the Narrows to get the real story. So they go to the Narrows, and Red Robin is in the Narrows at the same time, examining what appears to be a small child that has the flu, and lo and behold, Batman shows up behind him, and Robin isn't too surprised. And so Batman's basically saying we should work together because he's focusing on the bigger problems of the gang war and the police and everything while Tim's doing all this. So it'd be better to pool their resources and two-man team like it did back in the old days. So Tim basically goes on to explain how this kid here wasn't at the museum where all the other kids got infected, but he's still infected. And he's basically looking for the source. Professor Pig triggered something in the children at the museum, and it lashed out back through the network. and whatever happened wasn't supposed to happen for a long time. Because whatever hadn't matured. And it turns out there's a nanobot swarm more advanced than anything either of them have seen that are inside the kids. And so Batman starts to have a hunch, and then Robin basically tries to get him to say what he thinks, but Batman won't tell him. Then he leaves to go think about stuff and go protect the city, while Vicky decides to do the smart thing and go to the roughest part of town and walk up to someone and say, "Hey, would you like to tell me about all the crime and violence?" And then the guy pulls out a knife. You know, because that happens. And he is about to kill her, and then the girl from before, the brother and sister, comes in, saves the day, and tases the guy. And then they start running, and they meet up at their house, and Robin is still trying to crack the code, which he does. It's a custom language, and he figures out its voice command, and he tells the nanobots to hone in on the signal, locate all traces of nanotechnology in the building. And the boy wakes up with the nanobots inside him. Basically, they figure out that something is wrong and someone's trying to destroy them. And so they start attacking Red Robin, while the one girl is taking Vicky and her friend, if I couldn't remember what his name was, to their house, and they're basically trying to stay safe for a while. They're just talking, another Superman thing, talking, and then the thugs from before that pulled a knife on Vicky come in and find them. While this is all happening, they're about to fight, and the nanobot kid crashes Red Robin through the roof, or floor if you will, into the group of thugs, and now he has to fight off all of them at the same time. And the nanobots scan everyone, see all the bullets and everything, new threat detective, and now they're starting to attack everyone. And then Robin figures out a way to make them relax, and he puts them to sleep. He gives the command registered sleep, and then the nanobots start compressing back, but then they enter the younger brother of the one girl that lives in the house. But since he told him to go to sleep, the kid is now unconscious. And no one knows why, because obviously the nanobot technology is still new to them. So Vicky decides to interrogate, kind of, the only thug that's left here, and to wake him up, she tases him, and threatens to tase him again if she doesn't get the information that she wants. And then we go to Tokyo, where a mysterious man basically says the nanobots were activated well ahead of schedule. Young Master Wayne won't like this at all. Should have known Maxwell after all. I did train him. I don't know who Maxwell is, but I think they're talking about Damian, young Master Wayne. So apparently Damian has something to do with this, which will be interesting because we haven't really seen Damian in any of the other issues. We've seen everyone else in the Bat family, but Damian. I'd give that a 4, 4.5, or 5. What are you eating?
Gummies.
Yeah, give me one. Alright.
Don't touch my shit.
Oh, sorry. You can't just put gummies in front of me. Now, these comics we both got. We only have one issue of one of them because I don't really know why. What's yours?
Mine's in the box. We got the same.
Yeah, we got the same cover. We got Ultimate Spider-Man, Miles Morales, Ultimate Spider-Man #1. Is there anything you want to talk about it? Since I just did the last one.
Going into this, I've never read the Ultimate Universe or anything on it. I did get Ultimate FF, #1 that came out 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it was an extreme disappointment. The artwork was atrocious, but I was pleasantly surprised with this book, and I'm looking forward to the next one.
I really liked it because obviously Spider-Man is a big favorite of mine, but I always was interested in Miles Morales, even when it was just the Ultimate Spider-Man. So the story kicks off with Miles talking to his girlfriend, trying to explain like why he isn't around as much, breaking promises, lying and stuff. And then that was the first page, and you go to a jail, a SHIELD jail containment facility, where the FBI, I think it's the FBI. Was it the FBI? I don't know if it's the FBI, but basically, one of the people in the SHIELD prison is being transferred to a regular federal prison because the facility is getting shut down. And he signs the guy signs the paperwork. He's like, do you realize who you're getting, right? And the officer just says prisoner, and he rattles off the number. And the guy's more than happy to hand off this prisoner. And he basically tells the guy, he's like, you are now the proud owner of Norman Osborn. And Norman's just in an electric field in prison because he killed Peter Parker. He killed Spider-Man. And now he's going to a regular federal prison, and Norman is just mumbling, you're all gonna burn. You're all gonna burn. Basically is what he's saying. He's just mumbling it. He says it over and over and over again. Then it goes to Brooklyn, where these two guys are just talking about life, talking about Captain America, talking about how Peter Parker might be able to come back, but saying like, oh, Captain America died, he got brought back, blah blah blah. Just talking. Then all of a sudden, what looks like Spider-Man shows up. And then you see, in the next panel, there's two of them. So you know something's up because it's not Spider-Man. And then there, you can get a colored picture of one of them.
To me, they looked more like Beatles. I don't know where people saw Spider-Man.
I saw it kind of Spider-Man. And just the black and white silhouette. Because the eyes just... He looks like Spider-Man, kind of.
I guess the way he's standing.
Yeah. Then they both start kicking the crap out of the two guys. Then one of the guys pulls out a gun, and now the one guy's freaking out because he's like, they weren't supposed to have guns, and I think they pretty much kill both of the guys. And then they both look up to the security camera and wave, pose for the camera, and they are raiding the truck. I don't know what was really in the truck. I don't think they ever really said. And they're gonna obviously sell it for money and ransom and stuff. Then you get back to Miles Morales. He's with his girlfriend Katie. They're kissing and stuff. And basically, she's asking him where he was last night because they were supposed to hang out or whatever. And he has to come up with a lie because he was doing something with other superheroes, being Spider-Man.
Cloak and Dagger and Spider-Woman, wasn't it?
Yep. And so he has to come up with a lie, like he always has to. He talks about his dad, because he told his dad, I don't know which issue, because this is the first Ultimate Spider-Man I got, that he was Spider-Man, and his dad freaked out and just left. And
well, he blamed him for his mom dying, didn't he?
I think so, yeah. And Miles basically says how he goes back to his apartment building every single day to see if his dad's there. Even
sets a Google reminder, Google alert, yeah.
Yeah, sets a Google alert to his dad's name. And he's basically saying, isn't that crazy, blah, blah, blah. The police aren't doing anything. He's basically telling her that his girlfriend that his dad's gone missing. He's not telling her the reason why he's gone missing. To give him an excuse to why he doesn't show up to the stuff he does so he can be Spider-Man. He just says he ran away. It's hard to explain, he just freaked out. And then you see a panel of him explaining to his dad, "Your mother died because of you. Don't say that. Because of you." And he gets really upset. And Miles is just saying, "Is it okay if you just believe me for this once?" And she's like, "Sure, I'm sorry. No, I am. Why?" Goes on to explain. Then they get in trouble for sitting and just chilling when they're supposed to be in class, and no one ever mentions when he just walks out for no reason. Like, oh, okay, bye. No one ever says anything.
Well, he's in college, isn't he?
I thought he was in high school.
Oh, I thought it said he was in... Well, he might be. It said something about an academy. Brooklyn Visions Academy? Maybe that's a high school. I don't know.
I took that as a high school type thing. Because why else would a teacher come up and be like,
But
hey.
even then she talks about they all empathize with his situation.
Yeah.
Or sympathize, whatever she said.
Then it goes on to the Long Island Expressway with Norman being transferred. And he says, "You're all gonna burn." Again. And then the truck blows up. So you're all gonna burn. And I don't know if that's a Green Goblin or not. Do you know what that?
I wouldn't guess it would be, I don't know.
I think that might be Green Goblin. I haven't seen Green Goblin in this universe, so I don't know if that's what he looks like or not. For those of you not knowing what we're talking about, it's that. Says you're all gonna burn, then blows up, and that shows up.
Coming out of the fire where Norman Osborn was. So,
Pretty sure that's Green Goblin.
yeah.
And so, Miles is with Genki. I don't know how to say his name. But that's the only person that he's really told that he's Spider-Man. That he's known since the beginning. So they're best friends, and Genki basically is busting his balls about his girlfriend, and Miles is contemplating telling her that he is Spider-Man. And he's like, "You're not, that's a horrible idea." And then they basically start saying, like, he wouldn't be Spider-Man without him because he's the one that came up with the web fluid, stuff like that. And then Miles goes on to text someone, asking her, "Are you around?" And they reply, "Are you okay? Just need to talk. They're at work." And she'll be on break for 20 minutes. Then you see Mary Jane just chilling. And it turns out that was the person Miles was texting. Anything you want to add?
Nope, not so far. I mean,
Wasn't sure if you want to talk about this.
no, about Mary
this
Jane,
part.
I can give a lesser shit. I'm still recovering from Gwen Stacy dying in The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Spoilers if you haven't seen the movie.
Everybody knew it was coming.
Not everyone.
Everybody knew it was coming. Everybody watching this video knew it was coming.
And so basically he comes down, he's like, "Hey MJ," and then she freaks out, but just because she's MJ. And they start talking, and he's asking her, when did Peter tell her that he was Spider-Man? And how she took it, blah blah blah. And then if she was glad that he did, because obviously he died, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm glad that he did, because I know he died, I know how he died," instead of just him disappearing for no apparent reason. And then she basically is on to say, "There's a girl, isn't there?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Yeah." She says, "You have to be careful about who you tell your secret to. If you're going to tell her this, you're basically asking her to marry you, because that's how big of a secret it is." Her exact words were, "In retrospect, the minute he told me, it was like we were bonded forever, for life, like we were married. Just make sure." And then it goes on. Daily Bugle, Notorious Daily Bugle has the headline, "Spider-Man twins, crime spree continues." And Miles is like, "Twins? What? Wait, what?" And he's like, "I have enough on my mind. Twin Spider-Man, what does that even mean?" And he basically was like, I'll deal with it later." And he comes in, and to his old apartment, goes through the window, still wearing his Spider-Man outfit. He's like, "Dad," like he always does, "I know you're not here, but at least..." And then he hears some noises. Dad opens the door, and I'm not going to reveal who is in the apartment, but there's a surprise at the end.
It's a pretty big surprise.
And he walks in, and he's like, "I think one of us is in the wrong wrong apartment. And the person says, yeah, sorry about that. And then it's the last page, and it's pretty big that this person is there. What would you give the book?
That would actually be my pick of the week. I would give that
I'd give it a 4.5. 4.5.
I go to 4.5. Close to 5, but not quite.
Yeah. So that's our picks of the week. Close second, though, was, for me, Batman Eternal. This was right up there, too. Original Sin, number 1. And now the reason we have 2 different copies, because Jordan got...
I got the Scotty Young variant edition, which is... It's a funny one. I don't think Iceman was even in the comics,
I don't believe
but he's on the cover. Deadpool has Watcher's eyes and says, check it out, I found some magic eyeballs. So, I really like Scotty Young's art, so...
I'll let you talk about this one since I talked about the last one pretty much. By the way, I got the regular cover, obviously.
Yeah. Well, the book basically...
This guy's driving in the grass. He's driving across the tree once, and I think someone drove in ours because me and Julian saw a tire truck.
who cares?
We'll edit this all out.
And the book starts off with the Watcher at his base, and he talks about he has this feeling that it won't go away, and he ends up, if you've read the first one, you know what's coming. He ends up getting killed out of space. So it skips ahead to Nick Fury.
White Nick Fury.
White Nick Fury, yes. Captain America, Black Widow, and Wolverine are at, what do they call it, Meat Night?
Yeah, steak night, something like that.
Yeah, they're at Meat Nighters. Yeah, and then they're bickering back and forth about the best steaks,
best meats, and all that.
And Captain America says this is just a good steak, and
Black Widow being the stereotypical Russian saying, "What?
Yeah, you haven't eaten Russian bear," and Wolverine says,
"If you had the Russian bear, you'd realize that it's best."
Wolverine talks about any steak is good steak, and Nick Fury mentions it's Bastogne, right? Pretty sure that's how you say it. And he tells a story about how they were fighting for what do you say? They were fighting the Germans over who could get at this cow that ended up walking in between the crossfire first, and they got it. And he basically says, more or less, that it was the best steak that they've had. He actually said Bucky was the one who... He said, I don't think I've ever seen Bucky fight harder. So Captain America gets a call, and he walks away from the table and comes back, and he says, slow down, Thor. It's Thor who called him. He says, slow down, Thor. And he says, say that again. And he tells them they gotta go, so they all get ready to go. And then Nick Fury says, you guys go ahead and save the world. I'll handle the tab. And Captain America says, actually, you might want to come with us. So they get in the flying car, which I think its name is Lola, but I'm not positive.
No,
I think that's what it is. And they get there, and Thor pretty much gives them the... he catches him up on the information that he saw smoke on the blue area of the moon coming from the Watcher's lair. And he came inside and he found him. And he had Mjolnir circle the moon many times, and there was no one else to be found. So, this is a really nice splash page. I really like this. And it's the Watcher. And he's dead. And the most important thing is, his eyes are missing. So, who says it was a gun? Black Widow, I think, says it was a gun. Judging by the blood splatter, I should have known. I've seen a lot of blood splatter. Oh, no. Yeah, it's Black Widow. Yeah. Said if we're lucky, there's still a bullet lodged in his skull. So, they do a little bit of talking, and they ask Nick Fury to make a team.
Did you get stuck? Yeah, right at the corner. Oh my god, Crystal. I'm literally not now.
Everybody, we got stuff.
Alright.
Alright, we're in the middle of a video.
I'm like, I can't.
Yeah, my girlfriend just got her car stuck in a flooded street.
And you wanna
So, and she's gonna talk very loud now.
I just looked out the window and
and
saw
your
a car
mom.
driving down the sidewalk.
Anyway,
And
if we can finish this, that'd be nice.
I would've, but I didn't think I could get it. It was too
If you could tell her to shut up.
driving down the sidewalk
Anyway, they hired. She doesn't shut up. She never stops talking. That's my mother. Anyway, they hire Nick Fury to make a team of I don't know, what would you call them? Spies? Not spies. Investigators.
Something like that.
Basically, he gets a bunch of people, and he gets Ant-Man first, and Emma Frost, and they're together, and then Punisher, and then they show Moon Knight is a part of the team, Gamora from Guardians of the Galaxy is a part of the team, and who is it who tells them this?
Tells him
They talk about it was a clean shot, that whoever it was that killed him knew what they were doing.
I think that was Nick Fury.
Yeah, that was Nick Fury who said that, but he was talking to somebody on this thing. I think it was Captain America.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was talking to Captain America. It says it was a clean shot, so whoever shot the bullet knew what he was doing, and they didn't
killed
hesitate
before.
to pull the kill.
He's killed before.
Yeah, he's killed before, and then he says, "I've got Thor and Wolverine on patrol on the moon," and then he tells him, "Did you tell them I was here?" And he says, "No, I didn't." And it skips ahead to somebody calls them. Somebody calls Captain America and says, "Oh, the Fantastic Four actually," and says that they might have their first suspect. And it skips ahead to New York, I believe it is, and there is
I think it is.
the Thing and Spider-Man are fighting this.
I think they were called the Mindless.
They're called
or something.
mindless, yeah, the mindless ones from an extra dimension, and they're kind of weird looking. Yeah, I don't know. They kind of look like a mix of Master Chief and Cyclops.
At least Master Chief, I don't know why he did.
Yeah. Then they get in a fight, and then they find out that
The mindless ones actually
Yeah,
do
they-
have minds, and
they're
he's
actually
basically-
like evolving. I think he said something about.
yeah, something like that. 'cause
Yeah, they
he's-
didn't used to be telepathic.
and they're
Or they're
and
not
the,
supposed to
The
be
mindless
telepathic.
one is basically going on knowing his pain, how he knows all this information, he knows everything, and it's too much for
Yeah,
him
he
to
just
handle.
keeps saying, "Make
the pain go
I
away."
not know again." And Ben Grimm ends up knocking his ass out, and he again starts talking. And he says, "The things we found, they're changed. They changed us, and they are changing us, and they're making us see." And he says, "The man on the moon knew."
Meaning the Watcher.
And then he said, "Making us know was his revenge." And basically, they get into more bickering, and again, the mindless one says, "You can't change what I've seen or what I've done. I was so content being a beast before, being a mindless monster before I knew the meaning of sin. But now sin is all I can see." So they end up beating him in the fight, and right when they beat him, of course, Captain America and Black Widow and Nick Fury arrive. And Wolverine, I think, is in that car too.
Yeah.
And he says, "Is everybody alright?" And Ben says, "No, Cap, not everybody." And they show a little bit of the remains of the mindless one. Not sure exactly what that's supposed to be, but
I think that's this.
yeah, it might be.
It's the visor that shoots the energy out of.
And they call it the ultimate nullifier, is what they call it. And they say nobody touched that thing. And Ben asks Captain America, "Is the big bald guy on the moon really dead?" And he says, and then Nick Fury walks in and says, "I'm going to need you and everybody else to take a big step back because this is officially a crime scene and I'm in charge." And he says, "We have a murderer to track down, so let's get to work." Then it skips up to Doctor Strange, who's working.
Punisher.
Actually, at first it shows Emma Frost, Ant-Man, and Black Panther, and then it shows Doctor Strange and Punisher, and they're actually going to look on the
Different plane.
yeah, it says well, he doesn't really give it a name yet.
Because the funny thing is, the Punisher's like, "Oh, your plane or mine?" And Doctor Strange goes, "You weren't told where we were going, were you?" And he's like, "No, why?"
He says, "Oh, this is gonna be
oh,
good."
this is gonna be good." And they go to a different plane of existence. And knowing the Punisher, he's not gonna be too happy.
Then they show Moon Knight, Winter Soldier, and Gamora. They're on a team, and he says, "Do we know what sort of resistance to expect once we arrive? Do we have backup, and can we call it if we need it?" And Bucky says, "Lady, haven't you heard? The Watcher's dead. There's no one watching anything anymore. We're on our own." So it skips to, it says elsewhere, and it has a bunch more of the mindless ones. They're all in a cage. I'm not sure what's going on there. At least not yet. So there's two guys, not sure who they are. They don't really say either. And it says, we lost one today and they're changing too fast. As are we. The things we stole, somehow they're evolving us. They're opening our eyes, aren't they? And he says, yes, but it's not our eyes I'm most interested in open. And they have a picture of the Watcher's eye he's holding. And that is the end of it. And then they have the cover for number 2. It says, who holds the Watcher's eye? And this was actually a really good book. And I'm really looking forward to all of the side ones as well. Yeah, the tie-ins, especially the Hulks. I want to know what exactly Tony Hawk. Tony Hulk. No, Tony Stark had to do with the Gamma Bomb. I'm messing my words all up.
Remember, kids, Tony Hawk is the reason why the Hulk is what he is.
And I'm looking forward to the Spider-Man.
I'm getting all of them. The original.
And the Fantastic Four. And all of them. I want to see all of them. Except I really don't care for the Thor and Loki one because I'm not sure how I feel about there being I'm not sure how I feel about them. Who did I just say? You just messed up my concentration. Oh, about them having a sister from a 10th realm and how that realm was not known about before. It just seems a little...
Not known for all these years.
Yeah. I'm going to get it, but it's probably on the bottom end of that list of what I'm excited for.
Are you going to get the original Sins?
I'm getting everything. Every tie-in, everything. Because I'm really interested.
What would you give original Sin?
What would I give this one?
Yeah.
I would give this one a 4.5 out of 5.
I'd probably give it a 4.
4?
Yeah. Is that right?
Yeah, I would give it a 4.5. It was good.
It was good.
A little pricier than the other ones. Wasn't it $5? Yeah.
$4.99, yeah.
Didn't feel like
it's
it was
a big
that
book,
much
though.
more.
It's kind of a big book.
I guess so.
Hey, it's one of those special events, so all those special event books are going to be expensive.
Yeah.
And what is it?
Who's writing it? Is it Mark Waid writing this one? Does it say on yours? Jason Aaron.
Mike.
Yeah, Jason Aaron.
Okay.
And Mike DeFord is doing art.
And Frank Martin.
Yeah. But it was good, and I'm really excited to see where it goes from there.
Yeah. So, pick of the week was...
For me, it was Ultimate Spider-Man.
Same here. No, I highly doubt we're going to pick the same book every single time.
No.
So, because most of the time I have DC stuff, and he hates DC.
Well, I don't hate them. I just think they're less
You hate them.
imaginative.
Less imaginative. We'll probably...
We'll get into this
That's
one.
another topic for another video.
We can go on forever.
Oh, yeah. Just like the many ideas Marvel steals from DC.
Oh, yeah. That's what it is.
Green Arrow.
Who came first? Deathstroke or
Deathstroke.
Deadpool?
Deathstroke.
Probably.
I looked all of these up.
Slade Wilson and Wade Wilson? Come on.
Anyway. Alright, guys, that was episode 1 of our comic book review.
It's a rocky start.
Rocky start. We hopefully won't have all this noise and interruption going on next time.
Yeah.
So,
We'll get it together.
anyway, this is just episode 1. We'll evolve and change and get everything ready for next time and hopefully be more professional next time. And I don't know, are you expecting to get a lot of books this coming week?
This Wednesday, there's not too many books I'm going to get. Nightcrawler, I think, comes out this Wednesday. And Fantastic Four, I'm definitely getting. And then I'll probably pick up New Avengers and Avengers number 29, because that's an original Sin tie-in. But it'll probably be a small week for me. I don't know about you. What DC books are coming out?
I know I'm getting, obviously, the 2 weekly books. I'll probably get what's the original Sin tie-in? Avengers?
29. Avengers number 29.
Avengers number 29. I can't think off the top of my head. I don't know if there's any Dark Horse comics are coming out this week that I'm gonna get. But who knows? Anyway, our next video will probably be a haul video sometime late this week. This will probably be up probably before Wednesday, I'd say. So, anyway, thanks for watching, and look for the next review.
See you next time.